So this story revolves around a girl called Kambili and her family, the Achikes. She has an older brother called Jaja. Their father is a strict Catholic who is wealthy and owns factories and also a pro-democracy newspaper called The Standard. He's very strict in his Catholic ways. He sees everything as these set of rules that you should follow. He's also very anti-government in his view because they're being run by a tyrannical military government, and he's like, yeah, things should be done right. So he has sort of this moral compass in the way that the government should run. Their mother is like a timid woman who really doesn't talk much and is often beaten by their father. Their father is also a very violent man because he also beats them when they don't, become number one in class. He sees this as a shortcoming, as a sin. And, interesting things. Once he beats them, he starts weeping and crying, saying, he's really saddened by how sinful they have become, that sort of thing. He's the kind of guy who does that. This guy often criticizes Nigerian culture or practices, and especially like they're from the Igbo tribe. So like for example, there's a time a young priest comes to their church and he leads mass, and his father talks to the family and says, this priest doesn't know what he's doing because he was singing in Igbo songs. He's not doing it the right way like the white men do it. So yeah, he's that kind of guy. Due to this type of upbringing, Kambili and Jaja have grown up to be very timid. They don't really know how to express themselves fully and everything. So it's like, yes, father, no, father, that sort of thing. Their father at the newspaper works with this guy called Adekoker, the anti government, pro democracy newspaper. So they're always printing these things about what's going on in the government and everything. So this is like his right hand man kind of thing at his press. The family though doesn't know about his political work that he does and the activism. He really doesn't talk much about politics with the family, so they really don't know him besides the family life. They don't know what he does outside of they know that he has the factories and everything, but in terms of his political and activism, they don't really know about all the things that he does. During one of the Decembers, they visit the ancestral homes for like Christmas, for the holidays. This is where we get to see how this guy relates to the tradition now, Mr. Achike. He's built like this huge ancestral home or like palace at home, and there's a lot of feasts that go on at his place. Most people respect him really, and he's also very generous because he invites a lot of people. He gives money to people and everything. But however, he doesn't allow any heathens, or what he refers to as heathens, who are like the traditionalists, into his home, which has led to like a huge rift between him and his father because his father refused to convert. He's more of a traditionalist kind of guy. So there's like a huge rift to the point like where Jaja and Kambili don't even know their grandfather that well. They like rarely visit him. Like even when they do, it's like 15 minutes and they can't eat or drink anything at their grandfather's place. So, it's sort of a strict sort of thing going on. Now, during this time when, they meet their aunt Ifeoma, the aunt is like, Kambili and Jaja need to come and visit me in Nsukka so they can get to know their cousins a bit more. The father really doesn't want them to do, but, the aunt sort of convinces him and they go. So during this time, they get introduced to another brand of Catholicism that their aunt practices, which is more like, I guess, open minded, and they start to see differences in how this family operates because they're very loud, they express themselves, they find joy in practicing their Catholicism. It's not about a strict set of rules as opposed to what they've been used to, like you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do that. There's really no happiness in it. Ifeoma has children, notably like Amaka, who's like Kambili's age, and she sees Kambili as sort of like a snob. She's a rich kid who doesn't really care about anything. She thinks, but she doesn't know that Kambili is very timid and she just does not know how to express herself. She also has a son called Obiora and also another one. But Obiora, even though he's like younger than Jaja, he's like 2 years younger than Jaja, behaves a bit more maturely than Jaja. Also, the fact that their father died when they were younger, and now Obiora has to be like the man of the house, sort of thing. You can see the differences in how they behave because Kambili and Jaja have sort of everything has also always been done for them. Sort of been sheltered by their father and don't really get the chance to express themselves in any way. Once they're like in Tiafioma's house, Jaja sort of adapts a bit better than Kambili. Jaja really likes working around the garden, like especially with these purple hibiscuses. He really loves them and loves working around them. It's during this period where Kambili starts to see flaws in her father, because she's used to this one brand of Catholicism and belief, but now she starts seeing other things. And during this time, as she's staying at their aunt's house, she meets Father Amadi. Funny thing, Father Amadi is the same priest that their father had criticized earlier, who was at the church, singing in Igbo. He's pretty open minded. He's like casual. He's like a cool pastor kind of guy, and obviously that's the opposite of what their father would have liked to see in a priest, because he believed like the place they used to go, they used to have a father called Father Benedict, who was like a white guy, and he was all, strict. This is how things should be. So this is the opposite of who their father would consider a good priest. Kambili likes this guy. Actually, she even falls in love with Amadi, and Father Amadi starts to see Kambili and sees how timid she is, and he sort of helps her to be more expressive. They hang out a lot. They go to play soccer together. So he's sort of seeing her as, and I guess he also sort of has a few some feelings for her, because they're always spending time together, and even Amaka notices and everything. Even during this time, Amaka sort of starts now seeing Kambili in a different way. And it's like she's not really snobbish. It's just the way that she's been raised. As they're in Nsukka, Kambili's grandfather becomes ill, and their aunt Ifeoma sees like, yo, he can't just be there at his place alone. We have to bring him here so we can nurse him. So yeah, that's what she does. She just brings him, and now Kambili has to like share a room with him. He lies on like on a mat on the floor. He prefers lying on the floor, but they share a room with Kambili. After a few days, the grandfather dies. Kambili and Jaja are like saddened by this. They really never got to know their grandfather that much, but they sort of feel that sadness. So their father finds out that their grandfather is dead, who is his father. He comes and he gets really angry that their aunt did not call like a priest to like do the final rites and everything. So they go back home for some time. Now, when they go home, their father is really, really angry, because it's like, how could you have been in the same house as a heathen and not tell me? You knew that you're going to be staying with a heathen, and yet you did not say. So he feels like he needs to punish them. So he goes individually to each one of them. So what he does, he puts like Kambili, she has to step into a bathtub, and then he pours hot water on her feet. It's like, your feet is what led you into sin, so we have to punish your feet, that sort of thing. He also does the same to Jaja. Even during this time when they're home, they start to see like even their mom has like a black eye. Their dad is very violent. And even in the beginning of the story, their mom had a pregnancy and she miscarried. And during that period, they heard some noise in the room, and then their father rushed to the hospital. Now they start to realize, oh, so even before we've heard that our mom has had miscarriages before, it's because our father has been violent to her. Their mom really has been through it a lot. Yeah, she's had a few miscarriages because of the violence that their father does to her. Now the guy that their father works with, Adekoka, the one he's always been in and out of prison, sort of like the government sends him a package. It's like a secret thing. And once he opens it, it explodes, and Adekoka is dead. He leaves behind like his wife and his daughter. During this time, their father is just stressed out, the whole anti-government thing, and he just becomes more violent to the mother. It's like he has all this stress, he's just taking out on her. So it's a whole lot of thing going on there. So before their grandfather had died, Amaka had drawn an image of their grandfather, and she gives this to Kambili before they go back home. So Kambili like sort of hides it when she's at home. So one day like Jaja goes to her room and they're looking at the picture. They're admiring it. They're like holding it with fondness. Their father walks in and sees, yo, they're still admiring this heathen. Now this is where it gets crazy. Their father, like, he beats Kambili like crazy, to the point that now she's like hospitalized in the hospital, and their father still weeps. That's the interesting thing. He just beats them, and then after he weeps, because it's like, yo, I'm so sad because you guys are so sinful. So she's hospitalized. Now their aunt is like, no, no way, no way. Kambili cannot go back to your place. She's going to stay with me now. So when they're just staying at their aunt's place, the aunt gets a phone call from their home now. They've been told that their father is dead. Kambili is completely devastated. Their father is like, he was like everything to her. Even though through all the violence and everything, she sort of had a way of like justifying it. It's like he was doing the right thing. He was trying to correct us. So they go back home. Once investigations are done, it finds out that there was poison in his body. Their mom confesses that when they were in Nsukka with their aunt, she had been poisoning their father by putting a small bit of poison in his tea, slowly by slowly, to poison him slowly. So that's what eventually led to their father being dead. He was found dead in his office in the factory. Investigations are like going on, but when the police come, Jaja confesses and says, I poisoned my father using rat poison. And yeah, that's it. So Jaja is arrested. Jaja is taken to jail. He stays there now because he killed his father. So the story just jumps like 3 years, where like Jaja is set to be released, because there's a new president, there's all these things going on. So he's set to be released. Jaja has now like completely changed. He's distant. He doesn't want to talk to his to anybody. He's just completely distant. So basically, he takes the fall for his mom, and he's set to be released. Although now in the end, you can see that Kambili looks and thinking about like new rains coming, and she sort of sees it as a new beginning. That's Purple Hibiscus by Chimamanda Adichie. Now, I'm sure I left so much in this book because this book has so much in it, and there's so much to analyze in it. But I just could not analyze all of it. I just recommend you guys to look for this book and read it. It's a very good book. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like and subscribe. Thank you.